Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I'm Freeman Singirankabo. Thank you so much for tuning into our program today. If you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. And those of you returning, welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, and here at the studio we are 2:01 p.m. or Eastern Standard Time. And those of you guys in Africa specifically, you are somewhere between 7, 8 all the way to midnight, depending on where you are. And so, welcome, guys, and be sure to subscribe to our content, especially those of you guys who are able to follow our conversation live. Using our social media. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, we do have a direct contact information that can be found on our website, www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. Info@afridominion.com. With that in mind, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, today it's another day, another thought process, another action, another something to talk about today. And without any further ado, guys, what do I want to talk to you guys about today? Um, I want to talk about the United States aid towards Africa specifically. And my question today becomes, who loses more when the USAID or the US aid towards Africa stops? That's one part of the questions that I would like to talk with you or to discuss with you. The second piece I'd like to know if the ex African presidents can really and truly secure the peace in the DRC. Those are the two main topics that I want to talk to you guys about in the next 50 minutes. Be free or feel free to join the conversation via Zoom. We have a live Zoom open. So if you'd like to participate in Zoom, by all means, guys, you are welcome. And without any further ado, guys, who tends to lose? Who loses more? Who loses more if the United States aid towards Africa stops? First and foremost, if you have no idea or if you did know, I want to submit to you that the aid that you have that African nations receive from the United States, this is not a freebie. This aid comes with interest, in some areas up to 20% interest. So according to our research, so far there is 12.711 in aid that's been at least stopped, or that has to be stopped. 12 billion, more than 12 billion. Let's round it up to at least $18 billion that we publicly may be able to pinpoint. Okay. Now, if the Trump administration stops it, like, hey, I'm all for American first, it's fantastic. But get to know that the billions of dollars were not freebie. There's no free lunch on planet Earth, let alone in the United States. So the notion that this is free money that was being given to the no good Africans, it is a rhetoric, guys. This money comes back with interest. What's 20% of $18 billion? That's at least $3.6 billion that comes out. This is pure business, guys. This is pure business. And those of you guys who aren't necessarily following, and you think that it's just something out of the goodwill, there's no such thing as a goodwill on planet Earth, especially in the world that we're living in today. No. The help that you're receiving because somebody has also saw that they may potentially be something that they can get in return. That's just plain out. If we're trying to be honest, that's just the way it is. So you Africans don't feel so belittled that because of the goodness of the United States and the likes, that and therefore you have to bend your knees and you have to do all these things just so that you can be regarded, or that you can look like you are you have acknowledged the help. There was a time that the I watched, no, last, what, it's been, what, like 3 weeks ago or so, when I was hearing Ukraine being told you should be thankful that we are helping you. Literally, you should be thankful that we are helping you. The US is not in Ukraine for free, guys. The same way that the United States is not in Africa for free. Why do you think that there is a deal to be made right now in the Democratic Republic of the Congo? The mineral deals, the same way that there was a mineral deals to be made in Ukraine, still is up to this very moment. No free lunch, guys. But now imagine when you have a deal to be made, and on the top of it, you get disrespected publicly. Like, hey, we hold the cards today. We heard that publicly, meaning I can walk over you in any way that I see fit. Because right now, without me, you won't be there. Without me, you won't exist. Guys, the more we're pushing humanity to go this route, the extreme route, I kid you guys not. No wonder certain countries are constantly working hard to also be relevant on the global, on the global agenda, on the global field of muscle, sort of like showing off. When countries like Iran or North Korea or any one of these countries they call communist, or the likes of the nations that do not necessarily subscribe to the same narratives as the United States, right now they're in trouble, because the biggest boy on the street has to say whatever he has to say, and everybody has to bow down. What happens if tomorrow Africa decides that, what, forget you guys, we're no longer going to be a part of the United Nations. We have decided to form the United States of Africa. We are more than capable to take care of ourselves, and we're no longer going to subscribe to any of the bilateral or multilateral agreements we have had. We are absolutely getting rid of every agreement we have had. Can you imagine how many wars are going to come? Can you imagine how some of these nations are going to scream Hail Mary? That no, you already signed. In some of these agreements that we have with African nations, are straight out criminal. How do you make a deal with a child, with a toddler? How do you make a deal with a toddler? And you make sure that the toddler gets the least that he or she can get, when you get everything on a silver platter, and nobody challenges that. Guys, these are the things that at some point, not only we got to talk about bluntly and with no apologies, but we have to actually rectify the status quo. I am addressing straight to Africans, especially. I never understand how leaders or African representatives do not know how to look after the interest of the people, first and foremost. Why are you even leaders? Why are you even representatives when you cannot actually champion on behalf of the people? No wonder Africans are oftentimes regarded as slaves, modern slaves. Because a slave, doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter where you are always being told what to do. You are always being taken advantage of. You own nothing on planet Earth. You are somebody else's property. The debt that Africa keeps on accumulating, it's a means to keep Africa the property of whoever that owes or owns that particular debt. This is business 101, guys. I am absolutely not for this whole aid, whether coming from the United States, the UK, France, Russia, China, none of that. I am for partnership, but not aid. Because the minute you're telling me that you're better than me, that without you, I won't be able to survive, who are you to tell me something like that? And unfortunately, there are families, communities that subscribe to that poisonous narrative. We all know the countries, for example, like the United States. The United States is only 249 years old, guys. Nations existed before America, the United States, was formed. So if the United States is only 249 years old, yet it has risen to the global stage where it can call in any kind of shots at any given moment and people bow down. What has happened to countries that became before United States? Where are they today? Everything is seasonal, guys. Everything is seasonal. As we read in so many old ancient books, there's time for sun and time for rain, time to cry and time to laugh, time to be angry and time to smile, time to make friendships and time to war. Guys, everything has two sides to it: daylight and nighttime, wartime and peacetime. That's just how human beings roll every single day. Now, my question becomes today, as Africans or the continent of Africa, at what point are we going to actually give ourselves back the dignity to live like human beings? Do you know that today Africans are still regarded as a two-thirds in some countries, as two-thirds of a human being? Imagine if there is someone out there on planet Earth who believes that you're not a human being like everybody is. You are only two-thirds of what they consider a human being. Can you imagine that person having pity for you, that you are being, that you are being killed innocently? They won't have any pity. The same way you can go and farm a bunch of chicken, and every Friday millions and millions of chickens gets to be killed. We don't think too much into it because we consider that regular food. There are people who do not consider Africans as worthy of even being advocated for, because that value isn't something that they were nurtured with as they grew up. So whose value are you championing for? And to what extent are you willing to literally champion for those values for? I am for my brothers and sisters, my African brothers and sisters. But I am also for those of you who still have the right heart, that as humanity, we have to be able to uplift one another. There's nowhere that I would support someone who thinks of me as a two-third of a human being, or who may think of me as a monkey. Why would I side with someone who sees me like that, forgetting that they also have two legs, two arms, possibly the same two-thirds of the brain as they think of you to be? These are poisonous rhetoric, guys, and we have to really fight over things, like rhetoric like this. In my opinion, we shouldn't really be we shouldn't promote, and we should be literally actually outing everybody who sides like that. And I understand it's a free speech anyway, that you can say whatever you want to say to whomever you want to say. But if those rhetoric ends up on your desk, just don't let them pass by, because anything that you quietly accept, or anything that that comes your way and you pretend like you didn't see it, that's actually a silent approval of whatever that was. And that gets to have some really detriment consequences long term. Don't be caught up into those things, guys. They're not sexy, they're not good for any one of us, and they can only perpetuate the same modern slavery that we are experiencing today. Now tell me why nations like the United States, nations like Canada, nations like Ukraine definitely has it, the UK, France, China, Russia, Germany. Explain to me how there is a weapon manufacturing capacity You manufacture weapons, but these weapons are never on the streets of your neighborhoods. The countries that manufacture these weapons are not the recipients of the same weapons in neighborhoods. Why create a product that your own people cannot consume? Why create a product that has to grow annually, and you are never the primary, the primary recipient or beneficiary to it, except when it comes to money? Any African or any non G5 nations with the capacity to manufacture weapon, who doesn't see that this is a death preposition wrapped around in whatever form of means that they have used to convince you? I don't know what you're thinking. Guys, I refuse to see that our brothers and sisters all are perishing because of these weapons. And the narrative is people kill people, guns don't kill people. This is crazy. This is crazy in 2025. These are the narrative that are very poisonous to the communities. But again, because the majority of people don't want to rock the boat, they just literally tune off anything related to that. At what point are you going to ignore it? And what happens when the root of those narrative now becomes not just a root, a tree and a forest? What becomes you? What becomes your community? You won't be anywhere to be found by that time. And I would plea that we literally fight against these rhetorics. I am definitely not for any modern slavery. Not for Africans, not for Asians, not for the Europeans, not for Australians, or just a human being, period. I am not for enslaving humankind in 2025 and beyond. Anybody who still subscribes to this rhetoric, I am forever going to be in direct conflict with you. I just don't see my life like that. Even though we know to a certain extent we became slave. We became slave to the economics. Anytime you hustling 5, 10, 15, 20 hours a day, you became a slave of whoever that you are working for. If in order for you to live in Washington, D.C., you got to hustle 20 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 8 hours a day, you are a slave to the system. Are there any other ways that you can live in Washington, D.C. and still have some sort of like dignity? Are there ways you can still live in Paris, in London, in Berlin, in Moscow, in Shanghai, and still maintain some sort of dignity? Not feel like you are a slave, a modern slave. Those are the ways that I believe we ought to be pushing for as a humanity. And definitely getting rid of these weapons of mass destructions that are being manufactured and dumped in Africa. This is the craziest thing that we have as a people today in 2025 and beyond. And somehow we have blessed it. We have allowed it to take root in our lives. We don't fight against it. What's wrong with that picture? It's really terrible. It is very, very terrible. And I would hope that we get the courage to fight against it, guys. Because failure to do that, it won't just have consequences to you today, but it is going to have consequences to so many of us. And then our children and our great grandchildren. That's not the kind of life I wish for our brothers and sisters today or tomorrow. And for these reasons, guys, we have to wake up and fight for ourselves and fight for that which is right. Failure to do that, whether you're being, whether you're quiet or not, it is going to have consequences to you, to your families. It may not be today, but best believe the same consequences that those who came before you experienced, they will knock on your door today or tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. Why stay in that same suspense when you can do something about it today? So, all of you brothers and sisters, I really want to ask that you take a look at what is happening in Africa. Take a look at what is happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Take a look at these millions and millions of people perishing, guys, or who have already perished. A human life in millions with no justice whatsoever. The same way you can literally kill chickens. And it only makes the news, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. What kind of life are we setting up for ourselves? So I do hope that we get the courage to better our lives such that we're not going to be bystanders when our brothers and sisters are in harm's way. We need to be courageous so that we can say, hey, no, we won't stand for that kind of life. We won't stand for that kind of behavior. So I want to invite you, those of you who are true brothers and sisters, who are brothers keepers and sisters keepers, let's get together, guys. Join arms, join forces so we can fight against evil from any direction that it may come. Because if we don't do it, nobody is going to do it for you. Nobody is going to do it for us, for me, for my family, for my community. The people we thought, the organization we thought that they would actually do that, they're the same organization that in pockets here and there are actually perpetrating those very thing we are fighting against. The institutions that no longer has the trust of the people, the trust of the families, the trust of the communities. We can't allow that to keep on happening, guys. It's a choice to allow it to take place and to root in your everyday life, the same way that it's a choice for you to say, you know what, have had it. I won't let this happen anymore in my life, for my family's life, in my community's life. What choice are you going to pick at the end of the day? Circling back, if you want to help the needy, don't just give him a fish. Teach him how to fish. You really, if you seriously want to help Africans, help them to regain the skill sets to help themselves. Africa is the cradle of humanity. As much as it can be contested, we know that there is genius in Africa. Not just genius, there is natural resource of great abundance in Africa. There's everything that's needed for Africa and African people to be beyond successful. And the question becomes, why is it that we still regarded as slaves? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Who said that? But Marley, if we cannot emancipate ourselves with this mental slavery, we'll be in trouble for many years to come. But don't receive any energy like that, guys. You got to get rid of it one way or the other. That's my hope and that's my desire for you. And I truly hope that we join forces. We join arms to better our lives, to better ourselves as a community. Because the end game or the end gain out of that, it will be so rewarding, not just for you, not just for me, not just for our family, our community, but also countries and even continents. Everybody's going to be, everybody's going to win at the end of it. Why should we not push? Why should we not promote such lives? And fight off every person who believes that they're here to literally enslave another fellow human beings. Anybody who has that kind of mindset isn't going to be somebody that I'm going to be rolling with. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. And with that in mind, guys, let me get out of here. We got so many other things that we are going to do. A huge thanks to those of you guys helping Africans, especially if you are in the DRC, helping these innocent lives, helping these people. If you are in Mozambique, helping out. If you are in South Sudan, try to help stabilize the country there. There's so much war going on in Africa that people have just been experiencing suffering for so many years that that suffering becomes like everyday life. It's almost it becomes almost a shock when you don't have turmoil, when you don't have bloodbath in a lot of these African nations. It's like a shock when you don't see that. Why? Because these wars have been there for so many years, have been pushed to the communities for so many years. And I believe it's about time we gotta stop it. So are you in or you out? That's where I want to leave this conversation with you. I would hope that you're a part of the fighting force for a better tomorrow, not just for me, for you, for our communities. Let's make it happen, guys. We can do it. I truly believe that we can do it, one person at a time, one community at a time, until we get every inch of our brothers and sisters. Let's not be tired. Let's fight and let's fight and let's fight until we get it all done. All right. So let me wish you guys a beautiful day. If you are still daylight, if you are in the evening, get ready, go to bed or change the scenery of you today. I want to wish you guys a beautiful evening. If you're just waking up, I want to wish you a super fantastic day. I am Freeman here at AfriDominion Studio. Have yourself a great day. Until tomorrow, peace, guys.